Keith Paints. Hey folks, welcome back to Keith Paints. This week, everyone is painting spooky Halloween stuff, so I thought I would tag along and make a spooky little witch's hut. Okay, so it's mostly just a hut, but it was my first time with some of these materials, and I learned a lot along the way. I found a big piece of scrap foam on the side of the road, so I took it home to play with. I'm not sure if it's the same foam that other people used, but it will certainly do the trick. First, I used it to make some logs that would be the frame of the house. One log across 2 posts, and then 2 more posts holding 2 half-sized logs leaning on the central one. I used my X-Acto blade to cut wavy line designs and spirals into any ends that would be visible. I then ran a pencil down each line to widen it. For the walls, I first cut some big blocks for a foundation of sorts. It ended up being 3 blocks a side, with 5 on the side with the door, 2 on either side of the door, and 1 above it. Then I cut a bunch of small bricks. I found it worked alright, just to score the foam and break it off, though sometimes this would leave unwanted shapes. I wasn't really going for perfection though. I used small strips of Warbler to make window frames. Warbler is a thermoplastic that used to get used a lot in cosplay until EVA foam took over. If you heat it up, you can shape it and it will keep the form when cooled. I didn't need to heat it though. It was pliable enough that I could just glue it into an arch, and stiff enough that it would hold the negligible weight of the bricks being glued on top of it. To make the roof, I used coffee stir sticks. I started by making a ring of foam. There needs to be a hole in the roof, so the witch can have a fire in there. I was thinking of making it a chimney, but it would only be connected to the roof, which felt silly, so I turned it into a ring that all the spokes can connect to. I then connected the ends of the spokes so the first row of shingles would have something to be glued onto. I feel like it would look better if the shingles were shorter, but it would also be a lot more work, so I made them an inch long and used all the rounded end bits for the first row. All the other rows I just glued onto the rows before them, or the spokes, and the top row is half the size because I liked the way it looked. I used Mod Podge to seal it all, then sprayed it black. I used these Liquitex acrylic paints I've had lying around for years. Burnt umber on the wood pieces. I mixed black and off-white to make gray for the big stones. The bricks were a mix of alizarin crimson, burnt umber, and black and/or white. It came out kind of purpley. The shingles on the roof got burnt umber mixed with raw sienna. I gave each shingle a few stripes of raw sienna. The bricks got a layer of a more reddish mix of alizarin crimson and burnt umber. I layered a lighter gray onto the larger stones. For the stones and the bricks I was pretty loose, leaving lots of the previous layers showing. The wood got lines of raw sienna mixed with burnt umber painted between all the cracks. I felt the small bricks were too dark, so I made a kind of grayish pink and dry brushed it over them from the top down. I felt the big stones were too bright, so I gave them a wash of Nuln oil, then gave the wood a wash with Nuln oil as well. And that is where I decided to leave it. I didn't find the time to do anything for the interior or the base. I might do something about that in the future, but I'm happy with the little hut I've made. I'd never used foam before. It didn't give or take texture very well. I think the pink foam people use is softer, but it worked well enough. And I had never used coffee stir sticks either. They would make really good siding on a more rectangular building. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to check out the other spooky builds by fellow YouTube crafters, links in the description. Thanks for watching.